Hello, I'm looking at episode number 361, I believe, of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. And we are here for the first premium live event of Season 7. It is Backlash in Puerto Rico, Raw branded, I guess, because it's not entirely all Raw people anymore, because a couple of people were drafted to Smackdown. But it was set up as a Raw branded pay-per-view. The main event, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes makes his first defense of the WWE Championship against Randy Orton, an old friend turned foe. We also have a lot of Puerto Rican and Hispanic influence on the show. Andrade challenging Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. Humberto Carrillo, of course, one half of the tag team champions, defending against Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. We have Bad Bunny in the house. We have Puerto Rico's own Damian Priest in the house. We have Devon Above and the Mexicools in the house. Without any more further ado, though. Oh, Puerto Rico. Let's jump straight into the show. Okay, so I realised too late that I didn't set up a kickoff match for this pay-per-view. So unfortunately we have bumped the six-man tag, the trio-style match to the pre-show, being Death from Above, Pistolero, Lince Dorado, and Grand Metalik, taking on the Mexicools, Super Crazy, Psychosis, and Juventud. And it is, of course, Death from Above who win, because they are all Hispanic as it is, so it's fine. I actually think Lince Dorado might be Puerto Rican, or has Puerto Rican heritage, or something like that. Because I know these two are just Mexican, but I think he might actually have Puerto Rican. But it is Grand Metalik who picks up the win, pinning Super Crazy with the Metalik driver in 12-19 to make defense number 2 with the WWE Cruiserweight Trios titles. 92 for Metalik, 82 for Lince, 89 for Pistolero, 49 for Juventud, 41 for Psychosis, and a 34 for Super Crazy. All in all, we're fucking these guys getting those ratings. 78's really fucking good. Okay, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. Oh, Puerto Rico, our opening segment, Bad Bunny, and the main event are basically what we hype up. Because, as you may have found out in real life, maybe Bad Bunny should go on last here, but I'm not going to put him on last. Like, he is third from the top. We've got his match, then a cool down, and then the main event. But first, we have a women's clash. Bianca Belair, the new franchise player of the women's division, against Florence. 82 is kind of a letdown, to be honest. Bianca gets an 87, Florence gets a 79. Apparently it's suffered from a lack of psychology. And apparently Florence has a penalised stamina. But anyway, yes. This is an interesting match because Bianca is the franchise player of Raw. She stayed on Raw by proxy of winning that, and she still has 3 wishes. She hasn't used a single one yet. Florence wanted to become the franchise player, but she is going off to SmackDown. This is her last match as a part of the Raw roster, and I imagine these two just beat the fuck out of each other. Like, imagine the crowd would probably like Florence a bit here. Like, imagine the EO match in real life, but with Jamie Hayter instead. Because the finish is Bianca Belair does pick up the win in 30 minutes and 30 seconds with KOD. Because she's the franchise player, after all, so she needs to pick up the win. But Florence, we really want to put home that she put in a fucking shift tonight. And one more big hit, and she could have had the champion beat. Not the champion, the franchise player beat. Which is evidenced after the match when Bianca Belair takes that in her stride. I imagine she probably got a bit of blood coming out of her mouth or whatever from the hits. And she actually offers her hand to Florence as a sign of respect for the war they've just been through. And Florence sort of looks at the hand, looks at Bianca. She sort of like shakes her head to start with. But then in the end, she does accept the respect of the EST. And Florence and Bianca Belair shake hands after going to war to kick off the night here in Puerto Rico. Viva la Raza, the LWO, Andrade, Zelina, Cruz, and Joaquin come out because Andrade has got a Intercontinental Championship match coming up next against Chad Gable, the champion, who comes out of Anthony Go. Shoosh. I imagine they're probably soaking in the crowd. I imagine the entrance is Andrade comes out first. LWO, Viva la Raza theme. And then they're taking in the chants, they're getting big cheers. And then obviously Gable's team will just go shoosh to cut the chants off to boos. Then we get the IC title match, which gets a 90. a 90 rated match, Andrade versus Chad. I don't know why I'm surprised. It's Andrade versus Chad Gable. But yes, it is a defense for Gable. Unfortunately, it's not Andrade's night here in Puerto Rico. Gable wins in 14 minutes 4 seconds with the ankle lock to make defense number 2 of the IC title. 92 for Chad Gable and 90 for Andrade. And yeah. Now hopefully I can actually start doing more stuff going forward with Andrade because, you know, he's sort of been floating around for a long time. And he's scoring 90s, so he shouldn't be. So yeah, I'll have to see how the future holds for him after tonight, but a great showing here, and he'd be very over in front of the San Juan faithful, so it's fine. We then get a recap segment. It's like, in case you missed SmackDown this week, because, you know, you love Raw, and in my fantasy head, Brand Warfare is still alive and well. In case you love Raw and you're wondering what's happened to this World Heavyweight Championship match we had scheduled tonight between Gunther and Edge, well, let's show you. And that will take you back to SmackDown. Pete Dunne demanding a title match against Gunther. Gunther miraculously making it to the building on time. Pete Dunne dethroning Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Carmelo Hayes cashing in immediately on Pete Dunne to become the World Heavyweight Champion. And then on Friday, we will have the era of him ushered in with a celebration. And then we'd cut back to Gunther in front of Batista in the office. He goes, "This is an injustice. Fix this. Fix this. Huh? I can't get a rematch for my World Heavyweight Championship now because it's over on SmackDown." And Batista's like, "Well, you didn't have to go." And Gunther, he's like, "Well, I did. I was being challenged. As a Ring General and a champion, you accept all challenges that come your way, Dave. But now, I can't get a rematch for my championship." And Dave's like, "Well, if you want to become the world champion again, I guess you're going to try and earn a shot at the WWE title, because that belt you had is on SmackDown now. As for tonight, you do still have to face Edge, just that match will no longer be a championship match, that will now be non-title." And Gunther's so pissed. And he goes, "Dave, you drafted Edge. Edge is your friend. But I want you to know this. Tonight, his blood is on your hands." So Gunther, obviously not very happy at the happenings from SmackDown and his supposed quote-unquote robbery of the Intercontinental Championship. Not Intercontinental Championship, fucking World Heavyweight Championship. Anyway, a blue-rated Path of the Dragon match. Try and hold your surprise. Actually, no, that is kind of surprising, because since Akira went down and Zergus stepped in, no disrespect to Zergus, but it hasn't hit the same. And Humberto's got a neck nerve injury, so he's actually only scoring 76s as well as Zergus. But they still get 90, so it's fine. And of course, we've got we're not a hometown boy because he's Mexican, he's not actually Puerto Rican, but, you know, Hispanic. He does pick up the win for the team. Humberto pins Roderick Strong with a moonsault. And Path of the Dragon make defense number 14 of the Raw Tag Team titles. 76 for both Zergus and Humberto, 71 for Roddy, and a 93 for Kyle O'Reilly. Okay, Roddy's declining. I was going to say, why is Roddy doing so much worse than Kyle? But that would explain it. So Kyle O'Reilly, you know, carrying this match here tonight, but it is our heroes that pick up the win and retain the belts. Maybe another handshake here, possibly, because these are still a babyface tag team. Oh, 78 is really fucking good for this. Okay. It's the Liberty Championship WrestleMania rematch, Roxy Perez versus Cora Jade. I can't remember what it got at WrestleMania, but I feel like it wasn't a 78. I feel like a 78 is higher. Or right around the same level, and I've just forgotten. But anyway, Roxy wins, 1150 Pop Rocks. Defense number 3 of the Women's Liberty Championship. 75 for Roxy, 72 for Cora. So Roxy is actually outscoring her now. I think it's still a little bit less popular, but she's getting there. Then after the match, Cora's getting to her feet. And then as she gets to her feet, she turns around and she's twatted by Asuka. Like the same way that Dakota Kai was at WrestleMania. Just completely clotted and knocked out. And then Asuka stands over Cora's down body, and it's announced that on Friday, in 6 days time even, Cora better be healthy because she's got a match against Asuka. Hardy-ha on SmackDown. But as for now, her quest to regain her title has hit a bit of a snag. Roxy still the Women's Liberty Champion. We then get a hype segment here. The feud, Logan Paul, Dolph Ziggler, Damian Priest, KSI. It all comes down to this. Damian Priest in front of his hometown crowd. Actually a babyface in this world. Because him and Ziggler are fighting Team Prime. Started all the way back to the Royal Rumble. Logan Paul eliminated Dolph Ziggler. And it could culminate here tonight with this big time tag match. Damian Priest, probably the star in his hometown, his home island, against the YouTube stars. KSI's had an 87 rated match. And the match goes 16 minutes 32. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, I imagine. We'll probably even have the impulsive guys run out. And King Kobain and Emerson Frost can fight them on the outside. But in the end, it is Damian Priest picking up the win, pinning KSI with that South of Heaven to score the win for the team. The grand jury. Damian Priest in Puerto Rico. One of the key figures of getting a show in Puerto Rico in the first place. Gotta give him a nice win here. 88 for Ziggler, 86 for Logan, 78 for Priest, and a 62 for KSI. So an 87. Over-delivered. What a fun match, I imagine. So, yeah. The grand jury are heading off to SmackDown starting Friday. And they head there with momentum and a win over Logan Paul and KSI. Here's a segment. Actually, we come to commercial. And then, when we come back, theme of the Colognes hits. Primo and Epico, that is. And Primo and Epico come out. And the crowd's obviously loving it. They're probably doing the Shining Stars Puerto Rico gimmick, to be fair. And they're like, welcome to Puerto Rico, you enjoying Backlash? Now, for all those years, we've told everybody who listened to come to Puerto Rico, the Shining Star of the Caribbean. And I'm think it's safe to say that tonight, you're really putting yourselves on the map tonight. And then they probably start speaking in Spanish to the Puerto Rican crowd.
Yes, boy!
When out come Pretty Deadly and Tonya Breeze. And Tonya's like, enough, okay, enough. First of all, you're lucky that my new clients here want to come to Puerto Rico for the latest fashion. Okay, Breeze, he's still back home. He didn't even want to grace Puerto Rico with his presence. But since you two idiots are here and you're in our ring, why don't my new delicious models teach you a lesson? And then Pretty Deadly like, allow us to reintroduce ourselves. You see, I am Elton Prince. This is Kit Wilson. And unlike you two, we are stars. People don't care about you. You've had to drag yourself out here in Puerto Rico just to get relevancy. Okay? Well, there's always relevancy when Pretty Deadly are in the house. Yes, boy. And he says, you know something, Ellie. He's like, what is it, Kitster? And he goes, I think tonight's a good night to really make a statement and remind the world why we are not just pretty, but deadly. And Elton goes, you know what? I think you're right. And then he points at Tonya and goes, take a seat, babe, darling. This might get messy. And then Pretty Deadly went into the ring and they attack Primo and Epico. And it's a 2-on-2 assault. And then I imagine they toss Primo into the post or something. They get Epico up to hit that spilled milk.
I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. You know what cool is?
When out rushes Carlito. Carlito rushes the back. He's got an apple in hand, a cane in the other hand, and he swings at Elton. He swings at Kit. and Carlito cleans house, and I imagine at some point takes a bite out of his apple, spits the apple in the face of, at some point Tonya Breeze would get in the ring, and she'd be shouting at the Colognes or Carlito or whatever, and then he could have spit the apple in the face of Elton Prince. He'd duck, and it would hit Tonya Breeze in the face, and then she'd start screaming and all that, and then Pretty Deadly would escort her away, while the Colognes, as a trio, take in the cheers from their hometown crowd. Just a fun segment to get people on the show. I was always planning on booking Carlito on the show, by the way, in case you were curious. But now, hype video for the Fatal 4-Way match for the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte versus Sasha Banks, Rhea Ripley, Nova Nebula. 4 of the very best here on Raw. All 4 actually staying on Raw after the draft. So, get used to this being the top of the card for a while. And then the match gets an 88. The show's delivering. I forgot to mention at the start of the show as well about this show before we get into this match. Again, I bought an A-list celebrity like I did when I had The Rock, because Bad Bunny's on the show and he's an A-list celebrity. So, yeah. Anyway, 20 minutes 30, this Fatal 4-Way match goes. A lot of Rhea Ripley dominance, I imagine. Probably a lot of Sasha Banks, Eddie Guerrero tribute spots. And a lot of Nova Nebula trying to one-up Charlotte, and Charlotte just being Charlotte. And, yeah, I imagine Nova would go, she'd hit the 450 on Charlotte, and then she'd look like she had the Queen beat. She's finally going to get that win, but then Rhea Ripley breaks the pin up. Sasha then goes up top, hits a Meteora on both Nova and Rhea, goes for a frog splash, hits a frog splash, but then Charlotte breaks up that pin, hits natural selection on Sasha Banks, and pins Sasha to retain the title. 87 for Charlotte, 79 for Nova, 86 for Rhea, and then 90 for Sasha. I don't like beating her again, if I'm honest, but I'd rather beat her than either of the other 2 women in this match, so it's fine. Based on what I have planned long term for all 4 of these, Sasha eating the pin makes the most sense. It's fine. Relax. 100. Bad Bunny, that's a fair rating. Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico, Shambea, all that. And we getting that exact same entrance. Because he's coming out, him and Rey Mysterio tagging up against Dominik Mysterio and Anthony Nese. In an 82, okay. I actually want to check something. I'm really curious. Okay, yeah, it did. It did help. Okay, nice. I'll get to what I was talking about in a minute. It's a tag team match. Bad Bunny, Rey Mysterio, Anthony Nese, and Dominik Mysterio. You know the match. You know, you saw the Damian Priest Bad Bunny match. It's basically that, but in tag team action. They've got the Rey and Dominik drama in there. You've got Sean Daivari and Archer Wakefield of the Nese business at ringside. Ari Daivari's still injured. And then you've got Cruz del Toro. And because Joaquin Wilde is injured and Andrade just wrestled, Carlito's going to come back out and make the save for the babyface team. So that evens the odds. And then, of course, when the odds are even, you know exactly how this match is ending. 619. Probably a 619 to both men. And then a Bunny Destroyer planting Anthony Nese on his head. And then Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio pick up the win. Now let's look at these ratings. 71 for Dominik, 74 for Anthony Nese, 76 for Rey Mysterio, and an 85 for Bad Bunny. Now the reason for that is twofold, because A, we're in Puerto Rico, he's the most over. He's got like an 85 pop in Puerto Rico, and B, I actually said this to be overbooked, because, well, it was. So, yeah, and what I was checking was the dirt sheet, and it does actually say here, the chaotic nature of the match helped hide the poor in-ring performance of Bad Bunny. So, it did help. So, overbooking it was actually the smart call, and we got a fun match out of it. We got the tag team version of the real Bad Bunny match. And then him, Rey, and the LWO and Carlito celebrate the victory over that dastardly Anthony Nese and Rey Mysterio's son, Dominik. Okay, so much for a cooldown. The next match after that was Edge versus Gunther. No longer a championship match, and this match is ugly. Gunther, we saw him earlier on, not happy that he's not the World Heavyweight Champion anymore, not happy that he can't get a rematch for that title. And he said that Edge's blood is going to be on Batista's hands. And he may have meant that literally. Because this is basically just an extended squash. A pissed off Gunther for 15 minutes just beating the fuck out of Edge. Chopping him. Probably hitting a powerbomb, Edge kicks out. Probably hitting all the other finishers, Edge kicks out. Probably a spear or two, like Hope Spot, because you can't just beat him that badly. But the twofold story here that will be being told throughout this whole match is that A, Gunther is pissed the fuck off because he's not the World Heavyweight Champion, and we saw what Gunther was doing last year when he wasn't pissed off. Well, he may have been pissed off. He's Gunther. He's always pissed off. But now he's actively pissed off and has an agenda. He may well be unstoppable. And also, Edge got obliterated. Edge hasn't had a big singles match, I don't think, since... Fuck. When was it? Probably fucking against Big E at SummerSlam, honestly. Because... I don't think he ever fought Ziggler. One-on-one. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. He can't seem to compete with Gunther. Gunther got a 100, I've just noticed, by the way. And Edge got an 88. They've got great chemistry, which is good, because I know where this is going, so it's fine. But then, after the match, Edge just stretched it out. Gunther just stands tall in the Ring of Imperium, and Edge gets stretched it out. And Raw, while not having Gunther as the World Heavyweight Champion anymore, may have a more dangerous Gunther than they've ever had before. And yeah, Edge outclassed here tonight by the Ring General. But from that to whoa, my father said, yeah, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton. You know, I haven't actually built this with segments on TV that much because I imagine like the big Prime Target video package would sell the match itself. Like it will give you the entire rundown of their stories. It's Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. It's an easy story to tell. It's Cody's first defense in Puerto Rico, and we're sending the crowd home happy because in a 97 rated match, I'm not even going to bother hiding it. The American Nightmare, 21 minutes and 2 seconds. Crossroads to Randy to make defense number 1 of the WWE Championship. 88 for Cody, 82 for Randy. Now, every single match on this show has been fucking banger. So, this honestly could get a 100. Because I did buy the A-list celebrity. And I like the fact that every match is good because it like in canon it's because the crowd is hot. So yeah. So let's see what rating the show gets. 100. It did get a 100. Okay. Nice. Basically every match was blue apart from the Liberty title match and that Bad Bunny match. Oh, and the opener. Okay. Yeah. That is a fire pay-per-view if I do say so myself. And I believe I made a mistake like before when I was like, oh, next time Raw will build to Money in the Bank. That's not the case because how could I forget Starrcade is week 4 of May in the Georgia Dome. So, farewell from Puerto Rico. Adios. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below about the show. And I'll see you next time for Raw, where they'll be building. Starrcade is dual branded, so I'll have Raw and SmackDown on it. But SmackDown has Judgment Day in 2 weeks, so that's what they're still building to. Raw's building to Starrcade, etc. You get it, it's obvious. Anyway, I'll see you next time for Raw, where the build to that Starrcade show will officially begin. See you then.